Good morning, everybody. This is Grant Sparks with the Grant Sparks Show, and I am here to talk about this. If you have this one life to live, just one life to live, you should be pursuing your goals like your hair was on fire. You should be chasing your goals down like nothing else mattered. If we actually were familiar with the fact that we have just one life to live, we would be chasing our goals down like it was going out of business, like it was burning down. Today, we're going to be talking about the 4 ways to do that. And one of these ways actually can do all of them for you. But if you don't do these 4 things, the other 3 you can tiptoe into. But if you do all 4 of these things, or said another way, if you don't do these 4 things, I present for your consideration, you will not achieve your goals. We're going to be talking about this and more in today's episode 338 of The Spark Show. Let's talk about it. In every Spark Show, we cover this first. Before we talk about anything else, we talk about morning cup of gratitude. You've got to be able to start your day with gratitude. You got to be able to open your heart and express some deep-seated form of gratitude. What are you grateful for? What's got you excited today? What's getting you out of bed? What gets you going from a 0 to a 1, from a 5 to a 6, from a 7 to an 8? Just when you think about it, what are you grateful for? I'll start like I normally do. I'm absolutely grateful for morning fires. When I have the time, I set up a fire in our fire pit out back, and I just sit and meditate by it. I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for returning to meditation. I'm so grateful for the painting going on in my life. I'm so grateful for my freaking clients. What are you grateful for today? What's got you out of bed? If you cannot start with gratitude, I present for your consideration, you cannot open your heart and receive what the world has for you, what the universe has for you. The things you're craving, they're on the other side of a heart of gratitude so that you have eyes to see it, to receive it. Take a second right now in the comments. Tell me what you're grateful for. Take a minute to express that. Take a minute to write down, man, I'm just grateful for this. And you will start to see your mood absolutely change just by starting to express gratitude. So again, I'm grateful for my fire pit this morning. What are you grateful for? Take a second, grab your coffee and say, hey, Grant, I'm grateful for this. And I can celebrate with you. And I want to celebrate with you. So put down in the comments, whether you're on Instagram here, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, I see you on Facebook, I see you on LinkedIn. Tell me what you're grateful for today. Let me know right now. And I will celebrate with you. We'll get you pumped. And then let's talk about the 4 things you need to change right now to achieve your goals. Or said another way, if you don't do them, you probably won't achieve any of your goals. And you've got one life to live. We should be pursuing this like it was the only thing that mattered. Let's talk about it. This morning, I was sitting by my fire pit doing my morning meditation. I do this most mornings. I get my reading done. Right now I'm reading regular readings, the Tao Te Ching, The Art of Peace. These are short readings I do. And then I'm reading several of her business books, The Future Shock, and several others like that, Coach Builder, fantastic books. I was meditating out there, and I was just thinking about what I'm going to talk about this morning. I was thinking about my reading. I was thinking about what I'm doing for business right now, some of the things I'm doing, my upcoming trip to the Bahamas, my upcoming trip to Colombia. And I was thinking through these things, and I just started putting the fire together, and I lit the fire, and it blazed up, and I sat down, and I just started resting, and suddenly I realized the fire went away almost instantly. And I was like, what? It's dark out. It's cool out in the morning. The fire keeps the mosquitoes away. So I got up, and I inspected the fire, and I realized, oh, the firewood's not positioned correctly. The firewood's not positioned correctly. And so I simply repositioned the firewood, and suddenly the fire took off. As soon as I repositioned that firewood, the fire took a blaze, and it was brighter than it was before. And it dawned on me, we are not the fire. We're actually the wood. And as we pursue goals, we're trying to inspire ourselves. As we pursue our dreams and our goals, we're trying to feel some kind of way, and we're trying to feel our highest self. Oftentimes, people like to think that we're the fire or we're the spark. The truth is we're the wood. And until we catch fire, until we catch that spark, we're just dead wood. But once we actually catch fire, We now become part of that fire. That's how we become fire. But our time, energy, money, resources, friends, family, all of that is the fire that's currently going. And you have to reposition yourself. And I was thinking about this, and it struck me, this is what people need to hear about their goals and living their highest self. There's a lot of challenges out there right now. And it feels like, if you pay attention in the headlines, it's worse now than before. We're challenged in a lot of ways to live our highest self. But I was thinking about the things that actually impact what our goals are. And I touch these things a lot. If you ever come to one of my goal workshops, we talk about these things that we're about to talk about today quite a bit. And these are the 4 keys that are one of 2 things. They're setting you ablaze or they're holding you back. If they're positioned well, you can catch fire like this. But if they're not positioned well, your fire's going to go out. And all the resources you're done. I don't know if you've ever tried to put together a fire, but as you put resources, it doesn't matter how hard you put together resources. If you don't position the wood well, it won't catch. Basically, you're going to be expelling time, energy, money, resources on your goals. And if you are not positioned correctly, it doesn't matter how good and big your dreams are. It doesn't matter what you believe about manifestation. You still have to respond to your own manifestation in order to achieve more. So here are the 4 things I'm going to touch on very briefly this morning that I want you to take inventory of in order to assess whether or not they're working for you in terms of making sure that you are on fire for your goals. Because I started this show today by saying this one thing. If you have one life to live, if you have just this one precious life, and we can't know, we might believe in reincarnation or energy, but we still don't know. And given the facts that we know, if you have this one life to live, you should be moving everything in your life around your goals to live this one beautiful, powerful, amazing life to impact yourself and others. Here are the 4 things. Let's talk about them real quick. The first thing you absolutely need to reposition in your life to live an ignited life towards your goals is you need to change your inputs. You need more inputs like this. Tune in, follow, subscribe. You need to curate your feed so your feed is only full of things that are reinforcing who you're trying to become. If you believe that you should be in Austin, part of the Austin scene, you need to make sure that your feed is full of things going on in Austin. If you think that you want to be a fitness guru or a long distance or a fitness trainer, your feed needs to be full of that. If you're trying to unplug from society, you need to get your feed full of nature and full of cabins. And if your social feeds are too difficult to change, jump off and jump over to Google News, type in your terms. I often have my Google News curated so that only articles come up about psychology, marketing, but goal setting, personal development, human potential. Make sure that your feeds are full of terms and it is rich. And when you sit down to read your content, that content will start feeding your soul and that fire inside of you will start to kick off a bit more. I mean, read long form articles. There's 2. I don't know if you've read the book Thinking Fast and Slow, but there's 2 modalities for the brain, generally speaking, thinking fast and thinking slow. And we're in such a desperate need to keep up with society. We're often thinking fast, but the thing about thinking fast is it's shallow thinking. It doesn't shape your identity. You're skimming the surface of life. But thinking slow, reading long form articles, reading books, listening to podcasts that reinforce your goals and dreams, get you into a beta state where you're actually thinking about stuff in a deeper way. And as you think about stuff in a deeper way, it starts to not only inspire you, but it starts to shape your thinking for what's going on in your life. And you are shaping who you are. Whether or not you believe in intelligent design, you are now causing intelligent design on your own life. So change. The first thing you absolutely need to change to accelerate your goals so that you achieve your goals in this one beautiful life is changing your inputs. Literally change the playlist on your device today, on your phone. Change what you're listening to in your headset. Change the background of your desktop to affirm your goals. Make your social media apps a little harder to follow. I'm all for social media. We're here. I have a social media management company that I own. We do content for companies. Of course, I believe in it, but make it a little bit more difficult and make it far easier to do deep thinking. Sit by the fireplace, sit with your own thoughts and journal, change your inputs, and it will radically accelerate you to your goals. The second item is this: change your friends. Ooh, this is a little harder than changing your inputs. Yes. The 4 items I'm sharing with you get progressively more difficult. The last item will actually do all the other items for you. The last thing you need to change will change all of the other things. Trust me on this. I'm going to share it with you in a second. But the second one is changing your friends. Now, quite often, many people actually lack real friends. I don't know if you experience this. And if you're female, you probably have a bit more friends than a lot of the males. But regardless, whether or not we have close friends, we definitely have regulars in our lives. Have you gone to the gym frequently enough? You start to notice regulars. What about your regular restaurant? What about your regular co-working space? What about that regular cafe? What I want you to do is I want you to take a visual inventory, take an auditory inventory, listen to the things these people talk about. Look at their fitness and health. Inspect how well their business is doing and ask yourself, if I spend the next 20 years with these people, living the life that they live, talking about the things they talk about, consuming the things they're consuming, exercising in the way they exercise, will I achieve my goals? And if not, commit to change today. I know changing your personal friend group is very difficult. Don't do it overnight. You don't have to have a breakup conversation. But what you need to be doing is repositioning yourself to be around people that light you up and are going where you are going. I was just taking inventory on this myself, thinking about this show the other day at the gym. And I looked around the gym and I realized these people go to the gym frequently, but their physiques aren't changing. They're not losing that gut. They're not getting more definition. Their strength isn't going up. In fact, they're walking around the gym talking a lot. And I started asking myself a very valid question. What other gyms are more serious about their fitness? What other gyms take this really seriously? Meaning I need to level up. These people are regulars. They're in the category called friends because I see them every day. I talk to them nearly daily. We've exchanged information. We've gone to meals. We've spent Christmas parties together. They're my friends. And are they living in a way that will lead them to goals and a lifestyle that I am trying to go to? And if not, I need to make a radical change. Now, you've heard this a million times. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. You're the average of your 10 closest friends. I know you've heard this. You've heard it because I've heard it a million times. But do we live it? Do we actually live it? And by living it, do I mean, do we take action on the knowledge? Wisdom, learning something. The point of wisdom is to take new action, not to know wisdom. Hear that again. The point of wisdom is not to know the wisdom, but to take a new set of actions. And as it comes to friends, we need to take inventory. We need to start polling them. Here's a new way to do this. The next time you go to your cafe, ask a few of the regulars, hey, what are your dreams? What are your goals? And when you walk away, take mental inventory. Does that match my goals? Now, we're not going to be hardcore about this. We're not going to be crazy rude about this, but you need to raise the bar for yourself. Do you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you always order that super large drink because it's a treat? I'm going to treat myself. And do you do it every day? And then you look around the room and look at other people and notice they're not bad off, but they're not where I want to be. And ask them, how long have they been coming to Dunkin' Donuts? Hey, how long have you been coming here? Is that always the drink you order? That's cool, man. And then walk away and make a change in your heart. You have to start changing your friends. And easy ways to do this, add different habits. Start a new martial art, and that martial arts time slot happens to be in the time slot used to be at the gym, and let that natural change occur. Start going to that new coffee shop in town. Start going to that new health juice bar. Go somewhere new. Not only will this stimulate your neural pathways, but it'll also change that friend group. That's number 2. Number 3. Now we're getting progressively harder. Buckle up. Here's the third one. And the fourth one will change all of these. Here's the third one. Your intimate relationship. Oh, hang on now. Hang on. If you have been married or in a long-term relationship, you already know this. And I will not trivialize this. Changing your intimate relationship will be next to impossible, improbable. It is possible. It's not plausible or probable that most of you will make this change, but this one will make or break you. How many people have heard the quote, most people die at 28, they just leave their body at 78? A lot of people are walking around as zombies. And if you've been married for any length of time, doing what you should do, you make sacrifices for your partner. You give over to them so much, and they hopefully give over to you. But if statistics don't lie, based on the divorce rates, based on the unhappiness rates, based on nearly any research paper on marriage, most people are dramatically unhappy because they do not feel that they are living their goals and dreams. Now, we're not going to blame that partner. It's not the partner's fault. It's natural for all of us to want to serve the people in our lives, and that is a gloriously beautiful thing. But if your main goal is not that, if when someone asks you, what's your goal? To serve my wife or husband or partner. If that is not your response, you need to have a significant gut check about what you're doing. I will confess, my 15, 16-year partner, Marissa, and I have taken a long time to adjust the dynamics of our relationship to help one another thrive more. For those who don't know, she lives full-time in another state, and I live full-time here, and we've been at this now for a while. We've been working on this for over a year and a half. We love each other dearly, but we were holding each other back, or we were holding ourselves back in relationship to the other. And we've changed our dynamics. We're a non-traditional dynamic, and you can ask me more about that in private. But we took the time to do this because we have one life to live. And she and I agreed in our early stages of our marriage 15 years ago that we weren't going to have kids. We already made that dramatic decision so that we could pursue our goals. And then we realized 15 years later, both of us are not pursuing our highest selves for the other one. And we have to change. And it has been brutal. It has been brutally painful, but it is beautiful. We talk more now nearly daily. We send texts to one another. We uplift each other's partners. We encourage one another to go meet people. It's beautiful. And we still share our economics. We still invest together. We still talk about what's going on with one another, but we're in different stages of life. You need to consider non-traditional ways to shape what you're doing if you feel like what you are doing in your marriage is conflicting with your goals. You have to. Now, this is not easy news. I am not making this sound easy. I'm not trying to make this sound easy at all. I'm making it sound important. You have one beautiful, powerful life to live. Now, maybe you're not married. Maybe you're dating. We've been on some of the apps. And what I've realized is I have no interest in the dating apps at all whatsoever. And as I'm going through them, I'm realizing, and I just had this realization, a lot of beautiful people, a lot of powerful people out there we could be dating and talking to. But as I'm looking at this, I'm realizing I'm not interested in this. So even if you're just dating, the distraction level of, does this lead me closer to my goals? Do I have a written goal to just date people? No. Do I have a written goal for a partner? Not really. I'm good on partners. My written goals have to be running deeper in building my training company, running deeper in public speaking, writing my next book, traveling the world more. And if I happen to meet partners along the way, fantastic. Your intimate relationships, long-term or short-term, because of the time, energy, and resources. Think about the time. If you're a female, it might be a little different for you, but maybe not. If you have kids, it costs you a lot to get childcare while you go on dates. The outfits, the dinners if you're going Dutch. For men, buying dinners all the time, driving all over, the chats, keeping up with the chats in the brain space given over to this. You need to second guess how you're doing modern living if you have goals. The third most important thing to change right now, if you have any meaningful goals, the first most important thing to do is to change your intimate relationships no matter the cost. And again, offline or in the Spark Goals and Gratitude group, I don't mind talking in more detail about the changes I've made in my marriage. We call it partnership now. It's different. It's wild. It's a wild time. But I am so grateful that we've made this change because now doors are opening for her. left and right. She found her dream job. She built her mountain cottage that we built together. I have doors opening in Latin America. I'm traveling more. I'm able to focus on my speaking business and do more art. My goals are coming to pass too. The third most important thing in this one single beautiful life is to change your intimate relationship. That's number 3. And here's lucky number 4. Number 4. And if you change number 4, it will change all of these. So you could get this hack and this shortcut right now. If you change this 4th item, it will handle all of them. It will force you to change everything, and it's this. Reposition your environment. Change your environment. Move somewhere else. Move. I once heard it said by a millionaire, the secret to his millions is that he moved every 5 to 7 years. Now that correlates a little bit with a business principle. Sometimes every business, or most times, businesses will stop producing value to you over a 10-year period. This is also a rule in homes. If you buy a good piece of real estate, you probably need to sell in 5 to 7 years before some of the major systems go bad, like a new AC, a new roof. There's this rule of thumb. And humans still, we've only been in the modern era for just a couple hundred years. It is in our DNA to be more nomadic than not. Now, I'm not encouraging you to become a nomad. We all want community. My partner, Marissa, had to move up to North Carolina because she realized she wants to spend 20 years building community, and she didn't want to do it down here. So why not get to the business of building that community where she wants to be? Outdoors Diva, great tips this morning. I hope you're doing fantastic, Outdoorsy Diva. What are you grateful for, Outdoorsy? I want to hear from you. What are you grateful for today? I see you lurking, and I'm grateful for you sticking around. But give me your details. I'd love to hear more about what you're grateful for. So the last one is move your environment. I'm seriously considering a move to St. Pete. I'm a beach guy. I grew up on the beach, which is why I didn't move to the mountains. And that was one of the major differences we had as we moved from monogamy to ethical non-monogamy, which is kind of where we're at. I'm looking at Cocoa Beach. I've lived in Cocoa Beach. I've owned property in Cocoa Beach, but I'm also looking abroad. I'm looking in Puerto Rico. I'm looking in Portugal. I like the Eastern time zone. So I'm looking up and down the Eastern time zone in the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. I'm looking on the northern coast of Colombia and Venezuela. I'm looking in other places where I want to live, because you should move where your thing is overrepresented. I heard another public speaker say this. They were an early stage podcaster in the early 2010s. And they said they moved to LA first and then Austin because there were so many podcasters going on. And that's where it was. In the past, if you wanted to be in theater, you'd move to New York. If you wanted to be in film, you'd move to LA. If you wanted to be in print design and print media, you'd move to Atlanta. Outdoorsy Diva says, grateful for time I spent with my friends this weekend, which is rare since I travel so much. I love it. Where are you traveling right now, Outdoorsy? I hope you're doing fantastic. I love it. And when you travel a lot and then you can revisit with your friends and then exchange stories and tips, and it enriches the very trip you've been taking or the trips you've been taking. I've heard it once said, travel enough so that when you leave, you come back home and know it anew again. So when you travel enough doing that, coming back and getting enriched just by retelling the stories and then loving your local again until it's time to travel again. I love that for you. So if you're not sure where you should be traveling to the point of Outdoorsy Diva, heading to Asheville. Whoa, my property's just outside of Asheville. I love Asheville, although I haven't been since the storm. So you're going to have to give me some feedback, Outdoorsy Diva, on how it's looking. I'd love to hear from it. My partner, Marissa, lives an hour away from Asheville. I love the area, love visiting. Let me know how that goes. And I'm wondering, do you have a brand deal there, or are you just traveling for pleasure? Love to hear more. If you are not sure where you should be traveling like Outdoorsy Diva. A lot of people, when I talk about goals, they actually haven't articulated their goals yet. And if you don't know where your goals are, we are talking about the fourth item. If you change your environment, it will change your friends. It will change your inputs. It will change your intimate relationships. It will change everything. If you move, it will change everything. But we know that this is the hardest one to change because we have the places we work out. We have the places we do coffee. We have the places we co-work, and there's this fear that if I move, I'm going to lose all of this. And that is, honestly, a valid concern. But what happens on the other side of that, Outdoorsy Diva said, for once, it's not for content. This is my adult spring break. I hear you. Thank you so much for that. But here's the thing. When you pick up and move, or if you travel like Outdoorsy Diva, what you find is this. When I travel with Semester at Sea, or when I lived in the Dominican Republic, or when I traveled for my work with Haiti and humanitarian development work all through my 20s and 30s, I realized that people are more similar than dissimilar. Cultures are very different, right? China is very different from Kenya and Mombasa, Kenya, where I visited. I mean, the world is very different, but humans generally are the same. They're trying to work. They're trying to feed their families. They have goals and dreams. They're trying to stay in some form of health. And so if you move, let's say I'm in Central Florida, which I am right now, and I move to St. Pete, am I going to find a new coffee shop? Probably. Am I going to find a new co-working space? Most likely. It's the new energy around that place. And it starts to rewire your brain. And yes, you start to lose for a temporary period of time the stability you've had. But if you move to Austin, if you move to South America, I'm looking at the western coast of Chile. There's a great little area that's down the northern hemisphere, or down the southern hemisphere quite a bit, that I think might have a lot of the elements I'm looking for. We'll find out. I'm going to do a trip later this year, I think in December, to the whole Patagonia and Chile area, and I'm going to visit the space. If you are not sure where you should be because you are not clear on your goals, travel. A, you will unplug from your routines. B, you're not moving out of your home just yet, so you can have the peace of mind that as you get anxiety about your lack of stability, but now you're entering a season of spontaneity, that spontaneity will trigger new thoughts. Journal while you're on your trip. It's hard to start journaling when you're in your routine. Start traveling and you'll start journaling. Start traveling and you'll start meeting new people and having new inputs. I just retold the story to a friend of one Christmas Eve. I spent in a tiny little hut in the Dominican Republic on the northern coast with a French family, a French author from a different group entirely, a Canadian family, and a person from Switzerland. And they started grilling me about gun rights. And I learned a lot about how the world, the rest of the world, views gun rights. It's very interesting, very educational for me. You'll develop empathy for other people, but more than all of that, you will get clarity on your goals. I guarantee if you are unclear on your goals, travel, you'll get clarity on your goals. And as you get clarity on your goals, you'll learn, where should I plant myself? Where my goals and dreams are represented. If you want to run the Ironman, move to Kona, Hawaii. That's the origin of the Ironman, and they run it every year. Or you could move to Orlando where there's an Ironman training center. What is your goal and move there? Here's the 4 items real quick. Number 1, change your inputs. Easy thing to do. Change who you're listening to. Change who you're talking to. Change the inputs in your brain, and you will begin to rewire it. If your feed isn't doing it, program your feed a little bit better. There's ways to flush your feed and start fresh. But if you don't want to mess that up, at least move to something like Google News and curate that so that it only is showing you things about who you're trying to become, your fitness and health, the relationships you want, the business or the work you want to be doing, the spirituality you want to be doing. I'm telling you, my Google News is a mess. It's got ethical non-monogamy, ayahuasca, it's got coaching and speaking, and it's got fitness and health. And what I'm not bombarded with in my Google News is all the headlines that can tear your soul. Change your inputs. Get an audio book for your runs. Whenever you're running, whenever you're doing exercise, when you fall asleep at night, listen to an audio book that's not just fiction, that's reinforcing who you're going to be. Number 2, change your friends. And don't just like break up with them or ditch them. Go start filling your schedule with new coffee shops, new gyms, new co-working spaces. Mix it up and you'll circulate new people, and those other relationships will begin to kind of shift and change. That's the second thing. The third thing is change your intimate relationships. Change them. There are abundant ways to change your intimate relationships. It's the scarier of the 3. Outdoors Diva said that changing your input is clutch. We'll work on that this week. Outdoorsy Diva, I love your honesty with me, taking time to post that comment, but yourself. As soon as you put it out there, it becomes real, and you know it and I know it. And so what are you going to replace it with? Not just what you're getting rid of, but what are you going to replace it with? So again, change your inputs, Change your friends and change your friends by just changing your habits. Go to new places, go to new cafes, go to new places. And the third, change your intimate relationship dynamics by any means necessary. It's been a long process for me and my partner, but we've gone through some changes. It's been wild, but it's made the difference. I know in her life and I know in mine. And I'm not pretending it's easy. I know it's hard. And the fourth, travel. I see this Latina travels. I see Outdoorsy Diva. I see Nicole. I see Marissa. I see all you girls on there and more. I see you guys on LinkedIn. Those who I know you know this. If you, A, are not sure of your goals, travel. If you're, B, not sure which environment you should plant yourself in, travel. Marissa knows that North Carolina is where she needs to be to flourish, and she is flourishing. She planted herself in a new garden. Where are you going to plant yourself? And if you're not sure, to the people watching right now, freaking travel, because it will unlock your soul. It'll unlock your goals. It'll unlock your dreams. Those are the 4 ways to unlock your goals. And I present for your consideration this. You need to hear the flip side of this and tell your friends. Most of those watching right now, you already know this. But I'm going to say it, and I'm going to give you these words to give your friends. If you do not change these 4 things, you will not achieve your highest self and the goals you're trying to achieve. If you do not change your inputs, you're going to keep getting the old inputs. You will not change and achieve your goals. Change your inputs. Quit skimming things that do not reinforce who you're going to be. Just stop. Just stop. Change your friends by changing the places you go. Especially if you take inventory of the places you go and they don't have the fitness and health you want. They don't have the attitude you want. They're not talking about abundant things like you want to be talking about. They're not talking about travel and joy and building business and building each other up in community. What are they talking about? Stodgy cubicle things? Go find a new coffee shop. If you go to the gym and they're just not living the fitness you want, or maybe they are, whatever it is, change that thing in the intimate relationship. Pull it as well. Is it guiding you? Is your service of the other person making your dreams happen? And if not, please, for the love of God, find a way. And I have resources that I've been using, that we've been going through, that I'm willing to share with anybody in private. DM us. Why am I talking about any of this? Because you need to be alive. I need to be alive. We have this one stinking, beautiful, freaking life. And there's so much going on in this life that we could be a part of if we didn't say no to these things. We could be achieving so many more of our goals. We could be achieving so much more passion. We could be achieving so much more love if we started saying yes to these things. So if you missed any of them, go back and watch the 4 things. I won't reiterate them now, but I am talking about these things because, listen, for all we know, this is all we have. And you should be pursuing your dreams like your hair was on fire. You should be pursuing what you're passionate about like your hair was on fire. I know that I have watched the lovely Marissa make decisions for her goals that were so bold and so powerful, and the fruit of that is there. And it has inspired me. It has inspired me to look deeper at my own goals. But what about you? Take a moment, if you're just jumping on, and post in the comments what your top passionate goal is, and I want to hype it. I want to hype it. And if you're watching over on LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, we're seeing a lot of people jump on right now from Instagram. You're welcome to jump on there. But I want to hear your top goals, and I want to hear what you're doing today to change your inputs, to change your friend groups or your habitual places you go, the regulars you spend time with. Even if they're not your intimate friends, they are influencing who you're becoming. Your intimate relationships and where you're going to be. Where would you move where your goals are represented? If you just want to do communal gardening, moving into deep central Florida or up into the mountains somewhere, there's a lot of that. Rural areas. If you want to move into, doing theater, if you want to move to crypto, move to New York City or San Francisco, going to where you're represented. So I'll leave you with this. Go back and watch the replay if you want the 4 things that absolutely have to change. Go back and watch that. But I encourage you this. I need to see more from you. And I say that in love. I'm so inspired by some people's journey around me right now. But it's a stark contrast of the exception that proves the rule. And that is most of you are the living dead. Most of you are dead on your feet. You're walking through life just saying yes to the circumstances. I've got to push through these circumstances until some arbitrary date. You're dead on your feet, and I need to see more from you because the world is dying for inspirational voices. You and I cannot get enough inspired people around us. And that tsunami of passion and compassion and inspiration and strength and drive will overshadow any darkness going on in the world at all. I want you to apply these 4 things, but no matter what you do today, remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own.